Hello and welcome to the LG Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Lewis Graham, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea how to open a podcast. I have no idea how much foreplay you're supposed to do before you jump into the main topic of discussion. I'm just going to give it a go, see how it goes. My aim really with this podcast is just to give you guys some helpful tips and information surrounding the health and fitness industry. I know there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of conflicting information, so hopefully we can just try and cut through all the bullshit, give you some advice, some tips that are actually going to be useful for you, that you can actually take away, apply to your life, and hopefully get the results that you're looking for, whether that is muscle building, fat loss, whether you're just trying to get healthier, whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. Hopefully this podcast can give you that information in an easy to understand way. And yeah, so today's topic, we are going to be talking about what I would do differently if I was to start my fitness journey again. Now, I was debating the first podcast being an episode on sort of me and my background and sort of how I came to become a personal trainer, how I became an online coach, and my journey a little bit, but I didn't really know if you guys would just want me to talk about myself for 15 minutes or however long this podcast is going to be. Obviously, if you want to hear a little bit more about my background, then I can do an episode on that, but I don't think that is particularly helpful. It might be helpful for some of you guys, so let me know if that is something that you'd want to hear. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about my background as I go through this, but ideally I want to just try and give you some advice and almost sort of go through the mistakes that I maybe made and what I would do differently if I was to start my fitness journey again, essentially. Now, so again, going into my background, I suppose, is I've not always been fit. I've not always been healthy. I've not always been in shape. Now, I'm not someone that's ever struggled with their weight. So I've never been overweight. I've never been fat or obese or anything like that. But I have still had struggles when it has come to my own body image and things like that. So from a young age, I was always very sporty. I played lots of football, rugby, pretty much any sport that you can imagine. I've pretty much played everything. The main sports that I played was football and rugby until I was around about 17, 18. And then I had to make a choice between one or the other. And I chose to play football purely because it is a far superior sport than rugby. Sorry to all you rugby fans, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. So yeah, I was always very sporty. I was always very active. I was always very athletic, if you like, but I was never really happy with my body image. And like many 15, 16-year-olds, I wanted to be a lot bigger. I wanted to grow a lot more muscle. I was always very skinny. And the main thing for me was just to try and go to the gym, to try and build as much muscle as possible, and just be stronger, look better naked. Classic, you want to look good to impress girls, right? But ultimately, I didn't really understand how to do that. I didn't really understand how to get in better shape. So I made lots of mistakes along the way. So this is going to really be what I would avoid, what sort of things I would do differently. And for me, a big thing that I got distracted by was like supplements, and I got sucked in by a lot of like marketing and things like that, training programs, all those sorts of things, which I'm going to touch on as we go through this and sort of give you like lessons individually. Now, this podcast could go on for hours and hours, but I want to try and keep it relatively short and sweet. I'll probably do a part two on this as well, because I've got some notes in front of me. I've got 4 big lessons that I want to touch on, and I could probably do 10 quite comfortably. But I'm going to touch on these ones today, as I think they're really the important ones, and they're the things that I see a lot of people make mistakes with as well. So this is what I want to touch on today. And now my first one is to try and stay away from supplements. So again, like I said, when I was growing up, when I was 16, 17, 18, you can get distracted a lot by seeing like quick results and marketing and all that sort of stuff. And you see people taking you see it a lot now with people taking steroids. Now, I've never taken steroids, but I've always looked at like even like things like creatine. I thought, oh my God, that's going to get me in shape really quickly. Or I remember there was this product, and you got it online for free, and already it sounds like red flags, red flags. I think it was called like Muscle Core X or something, and it was the classic like one of those little bottles with like a load of tablets in it. Classic marketing. It had some jacked dude on the front, and it promised that you would build loads of muscle. And I don't actually think I ever took it, because I remember buying it or like getting it or however I got it. It was a while ago, so I can't remember exactly whether I paid for it or whether you got a free sample and then you paid afterwards, something like that. I can't exactly remember, but I remember getting it, and I remember even at the time I was like, I'm not sure about this. Like I'm genuinely not sure whether or not I should take this or not. And I don't think I ever took it. I never did take it, but it just goes to show like how easily sucked in you can get, because ultimately supplements and things like that, they're very good at marketing to you. They're good at preying on like insecurities that you might have as an individual, especially like a young 15, 16-year-old lad who feels uncomfortable. They feel a little bit skinny. They want to grow a bit of muscle. They feel very insecure about their own body, especially at that age, right? It's marketing that preys on that. And ultimately, they're selling you these supplements that promise you quicker results. But ultimately, what you need to understand about supplements, literally, they're in the name. It's literally in the name. Supplements, they are there to supplement whatever it is you are doing. So if you're not doing the fundamentals, the basic habits and behaviors that you need to have success within the health and fitness game, then supplements are pretty pointless. They might give you a little bit extra, but realistically, you're not going to get the majority of the benefits if you're not doing those behaviors, essentially. So things like just going to the gym, right? So if you're going to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week, like that's the majority of the benefits you're going to get when it comes to like your strength, your endurance, things like that. Now you could supplement on top of that by taking some creatine. That could potentially help boost your strength levels. But if you're just taking creatine and expecting to get stronger, then that's not really going to help you. And then it's almost the same with steroids, right? Like people always talk about steroids as like cheating, and again, that like this you can go down a whole rabbit hole on steroids. I'm not going to get into it too much today, but ultimately, like you can take steroids, but you still got to train. You've still got to train. You've still got to work hard. You've still got to lift heavy. You've still got to push yourself in the gym. You've still got to do all those things to get the results. Yes, steroids are going to give you a massive advantage in building more muscle, staying lean, etc. But if you're still not doing the basics, you're still not going to get the best results. And it's the same with any sort of supplement you're taking, whether it's like magnesium to try and improve your sleep quality and things like that. Ultimately, if you've got a good bedtime routine, if you go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time, if you're winding down before bed and you're sleeping 7 to 9 hours, then that's the majority of the benefits you're going to get. Sorry. So if you were to then supplement magnesium on top of that, you might see some additional benefits. But again, taking magnesium when you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night is not really going to do much. And that's really important to remember when it comes to supplements, is that literally they are to supplement what you're doing. So when it comes to getting in shape, building muscle, dropping body fat, just in general, just improving your overall health and fitness, master the basics first, focus on the basics. So it's, can I train and lift weights 2 to 3 times a week? Can I do a little bit of cardio? Can I be sleeping 7 to 9 hours every single night? Can I manage my stress? Can I get outside? Can I be active as I can? Can I eat a well-balanced diet, eat lots of protein, etc., etc.? Like, I know it's a lot of things to think about, but if you take these basics and you add them into your life slowly, one by one, step by step, get good at them, get really consistent at them, then you will see 99% of the health benefits from that, rather than focusing on supplements. And like I said, it is a big marketing thing that can get you sucked in. And it's the same with, and it sort of leads me on to my next point nicely on avoid that marketing, right? And it's the same with like fitness programs or like 30-day challenges, those types of things. They're easy to sell, right? What I've just spoke about in terms of your daily habits, your behaviors in terms of sleep, routine with the gym, etc., all that sort of stuff, that is not an easy sell. If I was to tell you, right, in order to get in good shape, you've got to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. You've got to manage your sleep. You've got to manage your stress. You've got to eat a well-balanced diet. And that's what you've got to do. And you've basically got to do that for the rest of your life. That's ultimately what you need to do in order to get in shape. That is not very easy to sell someone. Whereas what is easy to sell someone is like a 30-day challenge where we promise like guaranteed results, or like I said, these supplements that can help you boost your metabolism, boost your muscle building potential, all that sort of stuff. It's very easy to sell you. So funnily enough, they sell lots of these products, but ultimately they don't get you the results that you want. What gets you the results that you want is the stuff that isn't easy to sell. It's the basics. It's that sleep. It's the stress management. It's your nutrition. It's your habits and behaviors that you do for a long period of time. The reason that anyone has got out of shape in the past is because of their habits and behaviors. They've over time consumed too much food, probably got a little bit less active as they've got older, and ultimately they've gained weight because of that. And it's the same going the other way. What you need to do in order to lose that weight is start building some habits and behaviors that allow you to do that. So like I said, avoid the marketing in terms of the stuff that I used to do. So just so that you've got an idea, like I said, everything that I'm talking about today, I've done this sort of stuff in the past, and I want you to learn from my mistakes, because if I hadn't have done these, and if I'd have, focused on the basics first of all, then I'd be way further ahead right now in terms of my health and fitness, or I'd have certainly got to where I wanted to be a lot quicker than what I did. So in terms of like the list of things that I've done, so I don't know if anybody ever remembers the Insanity workout. I think it was a DVD. I'm showing my age now if I'm saying about DVDs. I can't remember if I had a DVD or whether it was like downloaded. I want to say it was a DVD, which, like I said, that shows my age a little bit. But yeah, the Insanity workouts, I can't remember the guy's name. But again, very American type video. Again, like really strong, in shape guy. But essentially, it was just like a HIIT workout. It was like a HIIT workout that you did in your front room. It was lots of jumping around and stuff like that. And I think it was like a 30-day thing where you progressed the workouts each time. And essentially, all it did was just make you really tired and really sweaty. It was essentially a cardio workout. Like, there was nothing special about that. But again, because they had like this guy that was really in shape, and you look at this guy and you think, oh, if I do this, I'm going to look like him. And ultimately, that's just not really how it works. Don't get me wrong. Some of these things, these exercise programs and stuff, like, again, you see like the Joe Wicks style workouts and stuff like that. Like, yeah, great. Like, they're great for getting you moving, but they're not really going to give you the body that you're looking for. If you want to be more toned, as people say, or if you want to build more muscle, you want to look a little bit more in shape, you want to be more defined, jumping around your living room and getting really sweaty is not the answer to that, unfortunately. And like I said, I've done it before. I did the insanity workout, and all I did was I got a little bit fitter, I'm sure, but yeah, I just got basically hot and sweaty around the living room, which was yeah, not ideal. It didn't really get me the results that I wanted. And I don't know if you again, you've got like the adverts now of like, you see Cristiano Ronaldo advertising those like ab pads, those ab shock pads where you put it on your abs and then it sends like an electric shock current through your abs, and it's meant to get you a six pack. It just doesn't work. Can you imagine someone that is like 20 kilos overweight, big beer belly, putting that on their abs and then expecting a six pack? Like, logically, we know that just doesn't really work. But the marketing, you see Cristiano Ronaldo doing it, you think, oh yeah, I'll do that. That'll work for me. It's just not how it works. I also had one of those shake weights, and Oh, they're fucking horrendous as well. Um, it just looked like you were fucking deep throating a massive cock, to be honest. It's literally like a dumbbell and you shake it. And yeah, again, the marketing on it, it had like a really in shape woman with like the female version, which was basically just a lighter version. And then they had the really muscly guy, again, just shaking this weight around, claiming that it was going to help you build muscle. Again, just ridiculous stuff that I've done in the past. But it's easy to fall for it, especially when you maybe don't have the knowledge around exercise, nutrition, all that sort of stuff. When you don't have that knowledge, it's easy to get fooled by the marketing. So when it comes to these things, like I said, if you can take anything away from this, is don't fall for the marketing. Like I said, the stuff that is going to get you the results is the stuff that is maybe a little bit more boring. It is the consistency with your training. It's the consistency with your nutrition. It's sleeping more. It's managing your stress. All those types of things. They're not very easy to market, but ultimately, that is what's going to get you the results long term. So that's one thing that I would really, really strongly try and get into your head is if you're struggling right now, just know that it's going to take some time and you've just got to nail down the basics. And that is realistically all you need to do. And you need to just be consistent with it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Eventually you'll get there. And like I said, fortunately enough, as I got a little bit older, like I said, I think I did the Insanity workout when I was maybe 16, 17, potentially. And again, the shake weight was sort of similar sort of time. But again, I still did stupid shit after that. But again, as I got older, I started to learn a little bit more. I started to understand a lot more about exercise, about nutrition, all that sort of stuff. And a lot of my early knowledge sort of come from YouTube, really. I just watched a lot of YouTube videos. So people like Athlean X, Jordan Syatt, those were really the two people that I watched quite a lot of their content on YouTube and learned a lot about exercise, learned a lot about nutrition, and understanding that more just helped me see through the bullshit in the current health and fitness industry. And there is still loads of bullshit out there. I think in general, people like general population, knowledge is becoming better and better. Like I think when I was probably 16, 17, like the knowledge around nutrition, the knowledge around exercise in general was not as good as what it is now. So I think the industry is getting better, which is a good sign. But like I said, there is so much information out there. So go out and learn it. Like everything that you need to know is out there for free. It's on YouTube. There's podcasts. Hopefully, this is going to be a podcast that gives you the information. There's Instagram, even on Instagram, TikTok now. There's lots of really good content creators that are posting stuff that's really helpful. So all of the information is out there. Is trying to sift through it, figure out what's true, what's not. Because again, there's a lot of conflicting information still, and some people believe one thing, some people believe another. It's almost just trying to find who do I trust. I'm going to take their advice essentially and then try and work it out for myself. That's really the best thing, and that is sort of my third lesson really is to try and learn, but not also learn, apply. Because it's one thing having the knowledge. If you don't apply that knowledge, then you're never really going to know whether it works or not. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, is that they learn from loads of different people and now they have all this potentially conflicting information and they don't know what's true and what's not. But ultimately, what I would say is use yourself as like a scientific experiment. Try things on yourself. So if you've learned something from someone, go and apply it. Did it work for you? Yes or no? If it didn't work for you, why didn't it work for you? Can you adjust it to make it work for you a little bit better? Because a lot of people, they learn, they don't apply. But like I said, learn from people that you trust and just try and apply that knowledge. Because realistically, that's all you need to do. That is literally all you need to do is just learn and apply, learn and apply, learn and apply, learn and apply. If you've got big goals, And this is an important thing, right? If you've got big goals that are important to you, understand that you are going to need to change. You are going to have to make some sort of lifestyle change. Your life is not going to be the same if you achieve those goals, and that is okay. And you have to accept that, and you have to accept that you're going to have to learn some things, you're going to have to unlearn some things, you're going to have to pick up some more good habits and behaviors, and you're going to have to try and lose some of the habits and behaviors that are holding you back. So understand that, because you need to learn and become a new version of yourself. So educate yourself, find people that are putting out good information, learn from them, and apply it to your life, and understand that what works, because you might listen to someone like myself, or you might listen to someone else that you trust, and you might apply something that they've spoke about and it may not work for you, and that's okay. If you've What you need to understand, if you've lost weight in the past and you've then regained that weight, that method has not worked for you either. Now, if you've learned something from someone, like I said, it could have been myself, just because that doesn't work for you doesn't mean that what they're saying is wrong. It might just be that you need to tweak a couple of things. It might be that you need to adjust something to make it fit you. What you have to remember is we are all individuals. We're all different people that have different needs, different goals, different preferences, different lifestyles, different commitments. So what works for me, what works for you, what works for your brother, your sister, your mum, it's all going to be very different. And you have to understand that essentially when it comes to your health and fitness, you need to try and find something that works for you. That is the key. Once you find something that works for you, then it's, again, like I said previously, it's about just being as consistent as you possibly be. Keep going every single day, and don't give up. Don't give up until you get to where you want to be. And again, this sort of links on as well to my final point. I want to try and wrap this up, because I don't, like I said, I don't want to keep this episode rolling too long. I do want to do some more episodes, obviously, in the future with guests and things like that. They may last a little bit longer, but to be honest, I don't really like the sound of my voice, so I don't imagine you want to listen to me for too long babbling on about stuff. I'm hoping you're enjoying it, but yeah, I want to try and make these single or solo podcast episodes. I want to try and make these a little bit shorter, sharper, so that you can just take away some information nice and quickly. Like I said, I want to get some guests on and have like a bit more in-depth discussions about certain topics. So again, like I said, if you know anyone that you think, oh yeah, that would be great, or if you ever wanted to come on the podcast, then let me know. But yeah, my final lesson is to get some accountability. Now, again, this is something that took me a while to do, and there's many forms of accountability that you can sort of implement into your life. So, for example, I put on my Instagram story that I was going to record this podcast today. So it's made me record this podcast. Like I said, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a little while. It's something I like, talking about health and fitness topics. And I find that when I do Instagram reels and stuff like that, it's quite hard to get your point across in like a short, snappy sort of way. Whereas I think a lot of health and fitness topics and discussions, they need a lot more context. They need a lot more in-depth discussions, more nuanced discussions. So that's why I've wanted to do the podcast. However, it's one of those things that I've just been putting off. I've been putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And I know that I need to do it, but it's just doing it that was the issue. And it's the same for you guys with like your health and fitness, right? You probably know what you need to do. You know that you need to eat a little bit better. You know you need to exercise more consistently. You know what you need to do, but doing it is always the hardest part. And this is why I say get some form of accountability. Like I said, you can do what I've done. You could tell someone, right, I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I want you to make sure that I go. It could be something like that, like I've done with this podcast. I said, right, I'm going to do it. So therefore, it forces me into doing it. You can take progress pictures and things like that. That can be a good form of accountability. You could weigh yourself daily. That can be a good form of accountability. Again, for some people, that's not necessarily going to be the best option, because if you've got a poor relationship with the scale, then probably weighing yourself daily is not going to help. But you could potentially take some progress pictures and then keep up to date with them every 4 weeks or so. Because again, it's just going to motivate you. It's just going to give you that extra push to go, right, I best go to the gym, or I best go out for this walk, or I best cook for myself instead of getting a takeaway, whatever it may be. You could also do what I did. So this took me a little bit of time. Again, I think I created my Instagram account, so my fitness Instagram account. I had like a private one before. I don't really use that anymore. So I created my fitness account in 2019, I believe, at the start of 2019, because that was sort of the time when I decided to sort of get myself into better shape. There was a little bit of a switch in my mentality around that time, and I was like, right, I need to sort myself out. And it was just before I started my training to become a personal trainer. So it was about 5 years ago now, or just over 5 years ago. And I knew that I wanted to become a personal trainer, and I knew that I wanted to be in better shape. I knew that I enjoyed the gym, all that sort of stuff. But I had been in like this cycle where I would go to the gym for a bit, I'd fall off track. I'd go to the gym for a bit, I'd fall off track. I'd go on holiday. I'd struggle to get back into my routine, and I was a bit on and off from the ages of like 16 to 22. I'm trying to think how old I was in 2019, 6 years ago. So I was 24. So that's or 5 years ago. So I was 25. So yeah, at the start of 2019, I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna sort myself out, and I set up a fitness page. And I remember posting the first post on my fitness page was literally just a picture of me in my old bedroom. And I can't remember the exact post. I'd have to scroll back. I'm not going to do that now. But the post was something about, this page is just to keep me accountable and make sure that I do what I'm going to do. And it was the time where I was like, right, I'm just going to be consistent. I'm just going to make sure that I keep going to the gym. Like if I have a bad day, whatever, I'm going to go the next day. I would typically, before then, if I had a bad day or if I didn't go to the gym, I would just be like, okay, cool, I'll wait. I'll go again on Monday. And that's what I did for a long time. And I said to myself at the start of the year, right, okay, if you have a bad day, fine, but we're just going to be consistent. There's going to be days where you slip up. There's going to be days that don't go to plan. I'm just going to be as consistent as I possibly can be. So I set up my fitness page. I documented my journey, and it helped to keep me accountable. It just helped to keep me accountable doing. All that sort of stuff. And it just helped me. It just helped me keep accountable. Sorry if the microphone, I think, just cut out a little bit there, so apologies about that. But yeah, it just helped to keep me accountable by creating my fitness page. And it's what I did, and it worked for me. It might work for you. It might work for you by just posting something, putting it out there, because then it forces you to go, okay, well, I better show up because people are watching. People know what I'm doing, so I need to make sure that I'm doing what I'm saying I'm going to do. And finally, you can always get like a coach, a personal trainer. If you're brand new to the gym, if you don't really know what you're doing when it surrounds like exercise, if you're not sure how to use certain bits of equipment, get yourself a personal trainer. Just get yourself a personal trainer so they can show you the exercises, they can show you the technique. It's going to put you way ahead of so many people. I see so many people training with bad technique. And again, this could be potential for injury. It could be potential just for long-term problems as well. And again, speaking about how important it is to do this for the rest of your life if you want to get results, if you can't do it because you've got injured through shit technique, then again, it's so worthwhile just getting a trainer just to help you through those exercises. And again, you can get a coach. I got myself a coach when it must have been 2021. So it must have been about 27, 28, something like that. And I had a coach for about a year, 18 months, something like that. Really good coach. And I'd love to get him on the podcast. And I learned more in that year to 18 months than I did throughout my whole career as a personal trainer. That was so valuable. Obviously, like with anything, there are coaches out there that are not great. There are lawyers that are not great. There are policemen that are not great. Just like with any profession, there are personal trainers that are good. There are personal trainers that are not so good. So again, it's finding one that works well for you, finding one that you trust is really going to be key to actually help keep you accountable, give you the knowledge, give you the skills, and help you push forward. If you want to find out a little bit more about how I can help you, then feel free to visit my Instagram at Lewis Graham PT, or drop me an email, or have a look at my website, and I'll be happy to help. I'll be happy to have a chat through your goals and things like that. Now, I put up on my Instagram that I wanted to make a little bit of a tradition on the podcast and just have a little bit of a Q&A at the end of the podcast. So we're going to go into that now, and then we will be finishing. So I've got 3 questions down, and what I will say, if you ever do send in a question, as you possibly can, try and give me as much context as you possibly can, because again, generic questions are fine. I can go into a bit more detail, but if you've got a specific question, if you've got a specific thing that you're really struggling with, give me as much context as you can about like your lifestyle, where you're at, your experience, because then I can give you like a more specific answer. But into the first question. So the first question is, do I need to count calories? And again, I'm not sure whether this is someone that wants to drop body fat, whether this is someone that wants to build muscle. In general, I would say no, you don't need to count calories. For some people, I'd definitely avoid counting calories. So if you've got like histories of eating disorders, if you have like a lot of food noise within your head, if you go through the day and you're constantly thinking about food, then I would avoid counting calories. But what I would say is counting calories can be a very, very helpful tool to essentially just give you the information on what you're eating. Now, what I usually say to people is don't change your lifestyle. Keep doing exactly what you're doing right now. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Live your life. Just track it and become more aware. Because once you start to become more aware, you'll start to see little trends, you'll see patterns in your behaviors, and you'll be able to start making changes. The thing is, in order for you to change, you need to become aware of it. Just like if you were to want to save money for a holiday or a house or whatever it is, you'd probably start looking at your finances, see what's going out, see what you're spending your money on. And you'd probably be surprised to see some of the stuff that you're spending your money on. Same goes with your nutrition. You're probably going to be surprised how many calories is in foods that you're currently eating. So it can be a really useful tool. If you can do that for a week, if you can track perfectly for a week, it will just give you a much better sense of where you're at. Now, you don't have to track calories. You can write a food diary. So you can literally, every time you eat something, just write it down. You could do that on your notes on your phone, piece of paper. You could put it in a tracking app. You could just take pictures of it. Create awareness around your food. If you're completely unaware of where you're currently at, that would be the first step. Create some awareness. And if that's tracking calories, great. If it's not, like I said, all these other things are helpful and they're useful as well. Into the next question. So we got, how often should I be exercising and what to focus on? Good question. I like this question. So exercise, a lot of people look at exercise as a means of burning calories. But what you have to understand is that exercise just doesn't burn that many calories. It certainly doesn't burn anywhere near as much as you think it does. So when you look at your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, the exercise machines at the gym, and they've told you you've burnt 500 calories, realistically, it's probably nowhere near that. Exercise needs to be done. Exercise needs to be done. Apologies again. I think my microphone keeps cutting out, which is really annoying. But yeah, exercise needs to be done for a specific reason. So if you want to get stronger, if you want to build muscle, then you're going to want if you want to, my microphone keeps cutting out, which is so good. This is a real good start to the podcast. I'm not editing it though. We're doing one take podcasts here, so fuck it. So I can't remember what I was saying. I was answering this question, wasn't I? So yeah, exercise needs to be for a specific reason. So if you want to build more muscle, if you want to get stronger, then some form of resistance training is going to be a good idea. Again, if you want to maintain muscle, if you want to look more toned, if you want to look more defined, then again, resistance training is going to be a very key thing to be doing. If it's fat loss that you're after, then resistance training is going to be a good idea, because that's going to help you hold on to the muscle that you've got whilst dropping body fat. What a lot of people do, and I see it a lot more in women in general, but what a lot of people will do a lot of cardio because they get sweaty and they feel like they're doing more and they're burning more calories, and they lose weight, but they don't become more defined. So they almost become a smaller person or a smaller version of themselves. And that's a big mistake, because what you want to do is try and hold on to the muscle that you've got whilst losing body fat. Whereas if you just do loads of cardio, you don't do any resistance training, you're essentially going to lose muscle and fat. So, like I said, you become a smaller version of yourself. But again, like I said, exercise needs to be sort of goal specific. It needs to have a meaning behind it. You need to, even if you're just exercising purely because you enjoy that form of exercise, that is a good enough reason. If you want to become a marathon runner, then you're going to have to do some running. If you want to become better at playing football, hockey, tennis, whatever your sport is, then playing that sport is going to be key, first of all. And then you might look at specific exercises that can help you improve certain aspects of your game. Like I said, exercise is great for many, many different reasons, many, many different benefits, but exercise with a goal in mind. Don't just exercise with the goal of burning calories, because you'll probably end up resenting it. You'll probably not stick to it for very long. And like I said, it just doesn't burn as many calories as you think it does. So yeah, in terms of like what to focus on what you enjoy, focus on what exercise is going to be beneficial for the specific goal, whether you want to strengthen an injury, things like that. That's ultimately what you should be focusing on. In terms of how often, again, it really depends. I would say exercise between 2 to 4 times a week at least. And again, that can be a variety of different things. It can be a little bit of cardio, it could be a little bit of strength training, could be some sport. But again, it's hard to say. Usually, like I said, 3 to 4 times a week is going to be the sweet spot for most people. If you can't do that much, 2 is fine. If you can only do one, one's great. Remember, something's always better than nothing. There'll be weeks where you have lots on and you can only realistically get to the gym maybe once or twice. That's absolutely fine. If you've got a completely free calendar and you can get to the gym a little bit more than that, then that's also great. But yeah, always just try and do something. As I say, something is always better than nothing. And the final question, I feel like I've hit a plateau with my weight loss. How do I overcome this? So, good question again. So, when it comes to weight loss, what you need to now, again, it depends really for you on how much weight you've lost. When it comes to like losing weight, essentially, when you become a smaller person, your body doesn't have to work as hard to get you through the day, if you like. Imagine if you were to go on a treadmill and walk for half an hour, and imagine you were to go on a treadmill and walk for half an hour, but you put 20 kilos on your back, then your body's going to have to work a lot harder if you have 20 kilos on your back. So, like being a heavier person, if you've got 20 kilos extra, then your body's going to have to work a lot harder. So, it's therefore going to burn more calories the heavier you are. As you lose weight, and it depends how much weight you've lost. If you've lost a significant amount of weight, so like I said, 20 kilos or more, then it may just be that your calorie demands or your calorie needs have now changed. So it may be that you need to reduce your calorie intake. It may be that you need to increase your movement. It may just mean that you need to burn more calories on a day-to-day basis, or like I said, you need to reduce the amount that you're eating. If you've only lost a little bit of weight and you've hit a plateau, then realistically, how many calories you're burning has probably not changed that much. What tends to happen is that your consistency tends to get affected, because we start to see a little bit of weight loss. We're like, oh, great. And then we start to maybe old habits creep back in a little bit, and you go, oh yeah, I'll just have that biscuit, or oh yeah, I'll just have that extra drink. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I've been really good. I've lost 5 kilos, so I'm feeling good. And then, like I said, you start to slip back into old habits. Sometimes you don't notice it. So what I would say, like I said, if you've lost a significant amount of weight, then it may just be that your calorie demands have changed and you might need to reduce your calories. If it's only a small amount of weight that you've lost, then what I would say is check your consistency. So are you being consistent? And just, it might be worth, again, like I said, going through like this tracking your calories and stuff for a week, see where you're at, and then go from there. Because a lot of plateaus tend to be, especially when it's in a short amount of time, it just tends to be consistency. You might feel like you're doing everything the same, but like I said, old habits can creep back in a little bit just because you've been doing well, which is not a bad thing. You just need to become aware of it so that you can help change it. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys have got any questions for the next podcast, then feel free to send them via my Instagram. If you want to email me, it's lewis@lewisgrahamfitness.co.uk. If you wanted to have a look at more of the services and what I offer, again, lewis@lewisgrahamfitness.co.uk if you want to find out a little bit more, or you can visit my website, which is lewisgrahamfitness.co.uk, and my Instagram, which is @lewisgrahampt. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Apologies for the connection with my microphone. Apologies. It's my first time. I gave it a good go. Hopefully we're going to improve. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave it a review, like it, share it with a friend that is going to benefit from listening to it. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you on the next one.